Hello everyone, welcome back to another Club by Club AFL Draft analysis video. In this video we're going to be looking at Hawthorn and their draft hand. They currently hold picks 33, 71 and 77 in the 2024 AFL Draft, and obviously Hawthorn's off-season was filled with quite big trades with Tom Barrass and Josh Battle heading over to the Hawks. So quite big trades for them, and they're left with no first rounders, but 33 is the one that we're going to be talking about pretty strongly in this video, with a few back-end picks which they might or might not use. But what's their main what do they need to address this off-season in this draft? I think key forwards is kind of the way we've been looking at it. I'll let you kick it off, Jonty, with players you think fit the bill.
Yeah, at pick 33, I think they need a key forward. I just think they need a little bit more depth in that area. So that's what I'm looking at. They're obviously quite blessed with the fact they've got quite a young list. So I don't think they've got as pressing needs as some of the other clubs we look at. And that's positive because their draft hand obviously isn't as strong as some of the others. But in terms of some players that fit around the style of footy they want to play and will be available at that area of the draft, I'd say Tom Sims, Jonty Fall, Gabriel Stumpf and Charlie Nichols are four clear ones to look at. If I was to preference one over all of the others, I think Jonty Fall's contested marking style and his ability to really be the focal point of that forward line once he does come into his body, give him a season or so to develop, is the way I'd be leaning. He is probably going to be off the table by that stage, and if that's the case, then you probably look at someone like a Tom Sims as well, who is a similar type of player and would suit them again quite well and give them a little bit more depth in that area.
Yeah, I think there's, with the forward player, the key position forward, I think there's two ways to look at it. You've got, are they 100% happy with Chol?
Yeah.
As that really big player, and then it's someone like a Sims, for me, that they could sort of develop into that role. Or is it the sort of Jack Gunston replacement?
And there's so many players that are compared to Jack Gunston every year in the draft.
100%. So, could you even potentially see them taking one of those bigger bodied mids that pushes forward, someone like a Cooper Hines or a Hamish Davis or someone like that could maybe play the role, a bit of a marking player inside forward 50 and go a little bit smaller like they have done?
Yeah, well, it's interesting you say that because I did actually say with pick 71 and 77, I think that there's a couple of players that they're quite niche that I think they could target there that do probably fit that mold a little bit better. So
is one of them Josh Murphy?
Yeah, one of them's Josh Murphy and another one's Jet Hayata. So I think they're a couple of players. So both very good overhead. Both have got that power and competitiveness as well. And I think they really suit the Hawks style off field as well. I think they'd become quite loved by fans. Not that that's something you obviously necessarily look at as closely in terms of drafting a player, but I think they're both players that could hit up and become those sorts of players. The fact that you've got a couple of those, and they're not the only ones that are available later in the draft, but they're just a couple I noted down. I think they're a little bit more available later in the draft, whereas the key forwards are harder to come by. So I'd favour a key forward at 33 and then get one of those at 71 and 77. But yeah, similar types of players.
I really like the Jet Hayata one.
Yep.
I could just imagine with their game style too, where they kind of tear back a goal and he's got that running power to be able to get on the transition, help them with that, and then be a target inside forward 50. What do you think, Nathan?
Well, I'm leaning towards, I guess, the key forward aspect. The questions I have, they've got Mitch Lewis, obviously injury prone. They've picked up Josh Battle, who I don't know, do you expect him to play down back or go up forward?
Go back, I would have thought, yeah.
I'm a bit confused with their back line now, just exactly how it's going to operate. You've got Frost. I assume Frost is going to play that sort of stationary lockdown role.
Yeah.
Like pretty much not have the ball in his hands. And then you have Barrass and Battle as sort of these almost tall key position players intercepting.
Yeah, thirds, yeah.
I just wonder what which type of key forward they really target. Is Jonty Fall really the right type when you have a non-injury Mitch Lewis in that squad? Yep. I mean, Mabior Chol is still a good marking target. It's just the impact sometimes that isn't felt. So I wonder...
I think that the knock on Chol tends to be around the competitiveness to get to multiple contests.
And that's actually... that I should have touched on that. But that was something I really liked about Jonty Fall because we had question marks over it. Nathan, you were talking about it midway through the season, but I thought he answered it with his last 6 or 7 games. It was the competitiveness that I really liked, and he'd really add that to the forward line. Even when he's not taking marks, he'd be a really imposing sort of man down there in 4 or 5 years, I could see.
So, well, I was just going to say, are you specifically looking for someone to get rid of Chol, just knock him out of that side? Is that what they're really looking for in this draft, to say, look, we you're here and you're good enough for now, but we really want to replace you, in kind words.
Yeah, I think it's unlikely that if they draft a key position forward that he's going to come in and play.
No, exactly. Yeah.
So I think, like you said with Lewis will be the guy that knocks Chol out, and then they'll just go with Lewis and Cashadir, right?
Yeah.
That'll be the two tools.
Yeah.
And Chol will obviously come in if there's injuries and that sort of thing. So it's kind of looking, in some ways it's looking 5 to 10 years down the track and saying like what sort of football, how are we going to evolve and what type of player do we need?
Yeah. Any other thoughts on what they should do with picks 71 and 77? Were there any other list needs that they could fill with a couple of back-end players or any other projects worth punting on?
I've had this sort of belief that when they get to their really peaking for a premiership, which has come on a bit quicker than I expected, a player like Connor Nash is maybe dispendable in that midfield. Like maybe they'd want to get a little bit more quality. I know he sort of plays a defensive type role, shuts out some of the opposition's big-bodied mids, but he's quite, like for that size, he's nearly 200 centimetres and plays midfield. Like he's a bit cumbersome at times, so someone a bit more mobile, but they're not going to get anything
that late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have anything really to add to that. I guess, I mean, at the point they're at where it feels like they're excelling really quickly. And obviously the question mark is, can they do it again? Because that's always that second season struggle of being able to back up what you did. They're going to look for depth in their running, their endurance, and that's what they've, pride themselves on, that ability to move it so well and so quickly. So if there's anyone, do they look at players like a Damon Holler that falls a bit lower? These are players that can come in easily, transfer.
Yeah, I think if you're going to get a runner like I did think of like a speedy player like a Blake Lidler, obviously been high on him this year, but yeah, that speed off halfback, that ball use and intercepting as well. I think he'd suit Hawthorn to a T, so he'd be the one I'd pinpoint if anyone.
If you look at players that they have drafted in the last few years, they like that sort of Swiss Army knife. They like a player that's got really well-rounded, like players like Weddle and Day and players that can convert into different positions.
Yeah.
So that's why I really liked the Jet one, because I think he's
so versatile, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, he might. Well, it's interesting. Do you reckon he'll go this year? We've had this discussion before whether he'll go this year. If not, if he doesn't go in the national, do you reckon they pick him up in the rookie?
I think he's a 45-50. I think he's a 40-60 for this year, if I'm being honest. But I think he's someone that will be on an AFL list at some point in his career, probably mid-season next year. Obviously, injury interrupted. His utility really competitive, has a lot of speed as well, and just got injured at the wrong time of year. But one to watch as a 19-year-old next year in the Coates League.
Well, interesting to see if the Hawks can back it up in 2025. Thank you all for watching. All other 17 clubs will be available on our channel and Dylan's channel, so make sure to check it out. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you in another video.